Hi Risha, and welcome to Unapologetic. Thank you so much for being here today. So on today's podcast, what we're going to be talking about is jealousy, how we all actually have a natural emotion, which is that, and how to sort of navigate it.
Okay.
And the reason I brought you on today is because I think we've had some really good chats about it. And I think a lot of us might not acknowledge it all the time. And I think it'd be really good just to have those kinds of conversations and just expand the circle and just say, yeah, it's normal. We all get jealous.
Sure.
So why don't you tell me a little bit about where you're at and what you're up to?
So I've just recently graduated from university. So I'm in the stage of my life where I'm going to the next phase. So, education's over now. It's time to earn your own money, move out. And it's a big stage. And you're in your 20s and you get told how to do it and how not to do it. So I'm just trying to navigate it on my own and see where I get. But I'm going to trust the process and get there one day.
Yeah, you will. And I think a part of being on your journey and getting there is that what happens is that you tend to compare your success to a lot of other people.
Sure.
And that's where jealousy sort of kicks in. So what is it for you and when do you get jealous sometimes?
I think in university it wasn't a feeling that I kind of felt a lot of the time, but when I kind of graduated and I saw what other people were doing on their graduate schemes and they have jobs and they've moved out and they're not relying on their parents' money anymore. And I kind of felt this feeling inside me oh, I wish I was there.
Yeah.
And I think that feeling is jealousy. It is I wish I was that person or I wish I had that job. But I think that feeling is something that you need to kind of think through in your head and not act on it in a negative way.
Yeah.
Kind of process it. Think, you know what, it is a natural feeling. It's like being angry or sad or happy. You need to control it because it can get out of hand.
Yeah, it can get really out of hand. But I think one of the main things really to think about as well is the difference between jealousy and envy.
Yeah, for sure.
Because what happens a lot is that we get jealous of people, and when you do get jealous of someone, it's when you've got a negative emotion towards that person.
Yeah.
So you're feeling disdainful and negative towards the person that occupies something you want. Whereas when you're envious, it is a bit of a mix of admiration and discontent because you're envious of what that person may have, but you're not irritated by the person that has it.
Yeah, there's no animosity towards that person.
Yeah, you just kind of want it for
and
yourself.
That's a good kind of driven emotion to have, and it's good to have people around you that are doing better than you, so then you strive to be better. But if you're actively hating on that person and being I wish they didn't have what they have, then there's something wrong there and you need to sort that out.
Yeah, and you need to think about maybe why you carry that emotion.
Yeah.
Why is it so strong? And why is it that you have a negative feeling towards someone else's success? And sometimes when you get jealous, you don't actually want what they have. You're annoyed that they have what they have.
Yeah, which is a really bad trait to have.
Yeah, it is.
Because you need to be content in yourself. You need to believe that you can strive to get what they want. But it shouldn't all just be about what they have. You should want more.
What do you mean?
I mean in terms of, okay, they have this X, Y, and Z, but matching that is one thing, but then striving to the next thing is another, and that's your own determination. Sometimes it shouldn't come from other people, it should come from within.
Okay, so a question I actually have for you is, what are the signs when you acknowledge when you are jealous? What is it that comes out?
I think it's a thing where you see that person and they have what you want, and then...
What might that be?
So a job. I don't have a job right now.
Okay.
Well, I'm working for my mum and dad. So it's a job that I haven't got on my own accord.
Yeah.
So it's something that someone's gone out there and got a job on their own. So I'm jealous that they have done that. Even though I've tried, but they've gone and done it and they've succeeded in that.
Yeah.
It's a feeling that it comes to you when you see it online and things like that. But it is a very, very natural emotion. I'm not actively angry at these people that have all these things, but it's a really odd thing because it comes so naturally to you. Jealousy is so natural, and no one can avoid
really
it.
Natural. It's like being angry.
You can't avoid it.
Yeah.
It's like if you're, it's like anger, sadness, happiness, all of those things in one.
Exactly. So my next question actually is, do you think it's narcissistic to think a lot of people are jealous of you? Because I've got my own opinions on this.
So I don't think it's narcissistic.
Why?
Because it's something that might help somebody come out of a rut they're in and become more confident because they think everybody wants to be me. But if I look in the mirror and I tell myself every day that everybody wants to be me, I'm the best, that doesn't mean that I'm going to actively go out there and be rude to people and look down upon people because I think I'm the best. It's something that I just say to myself to make myself more confident and be a better person in general.
Yeah, see, I disagree with that. Because I think when you get those people that say everybody's just jealous of me, what you're doing is putting yourself on a fake pedestal because you're reimagining that people are that jealous of you. You're putting yourself on a really fake platform. And then what you tend to then do is think that other people are giving you airtime when all they're thinking about is themselves.
Right, okay.
So I think it's actually a bit of a weird trait to think that everybody is. Because sometimes, I'm going to be honest, I've fallen into that pattern.
Yeah, for sure. I think everybody has.
Where I've been like, well, they're just jealous of me. I'm thinking, no, they're not. They don't care about me.
But that's the wrong thing. You shouldn't actively say that person is jealous. You should think that it's about how you carry that and like make it so it's like a confidence thing. So you use that thought to your advantage and make yourself a better person.
Yeah.
But don't actively say she's acting like that because she's jealous of me.
Yeah.
That's a negative spin on something that could be seen as a positive.
But it's also really conflated with your ego.
Yeah.
So if your ego is really, really fragile and it really depends on someone else's validation of you, you then need that kind of, I don't know, you need to boost it in a really negative way.
Yeah.
So that can be a really kind of vile trait for yourself to say that because they're jealous of me, I am actually a better person than everybody else in the room.
For sure. And that is narcissistic.
Yeah, it is really narcissistic.
That is really narcissistic.
So another area that I was thinking about is, let's say you've got a partner and you're both trying to be really successful in life.
Yeah.
And you're both kind of smashing it. You do what you want to do, like you're on it. Can your partner end up being jealous of you? And do you think that's natural between partners?
I think competition is natural.
Yeah.
But if you're jealous of your partner, you're actively not wanting them to do well.
But is that because you then want to be better?
But jealousy it's a feeling, but it is a negative feeling.
Yeah, it's negative.
And you shouldn't have it for the ones that you love. Like, I'd never be jealous of you if you were doing well because that's your life and I have my life.
Yeah.
And your partner is someone that you love and that's your best friend. So you shouldn't be jealous of what they're doing. You should be really happy for them. That thought really shouldn't cross your mind.
Because I think I've had it in the past where your partner does get jealous of your success or intimidated by your success. And I think as a woman, you know, I'm going to be really honest here, sometimes when the woman is doing better than the man in the relationship, let's say it is a heterosexual relationship, it tends to be a little bit difficult to shine.
Yeah, for sure.
And when you're shining as a woman in society, a lot of people are very quick to try and take you down in certain ways.
Yeah, I agree.
And I do think, I could be completely wrong here, happy to have, you know, controversial opinions put there, is sometimes people get more jealous of women doing well than they do men.
Yeah, for sure, but that's been generational. So from the get-go, men have just done better because they had the education to do better and X, Y, Z, and they've led this life now. So when they see women doing well, they probably do get intimidated, and that is a factor of jealousy coming into play. But that is something that definitely needs to change.
Yeah, it's so bad.
It's really bad, and you should love your partner in any circumstance, and it shouldn't be have competition with them. You know, if they've just got a promotion, you should fight to get that promotion too in your job.
Yeah.
They've started a business, you can help them and start your own business and things like that. That's really healthy. But actively saying, oh, my partner's got a better career than me, I'm so jealous, that's so negative. And
yeah, it's disgusting.
It's not a nice
but
thing
I don't
to
think
do.
I don't think you actively say, I am jealous of that person.
It's
a
like
feeling, and it's like, it's a really like, it's like a pit in your stomach and I can't describe the gut feeling it is when you look at someone and you're seething at their success.
Yeah.
And it's a bit like, I wish I was doing that. And it's, I don't know, I think it goes in sort of every sort of direction. It definitely has the gender lines to it, because a lot more women tend to be, you know, we're all trying to fight to be great. And we're afraid that sometimes there's not enough space for us to all be great.
Yeah.
When in reality there is. And I think we just need to be probably accommodating and accepting of the fact that there's space for all of us to be great.
Then you're trying to pick who you fight with. So do you pick a fight with something that's your age because they're at that point in their life where you guys could do the same things?
Yeah.
Like, I'd never compare myself to you because you're 3 years older than me, so I'm not nowhere near your journey. I wouldn't compare myself. I'd also compare myself to someone of my own colour because we all have the same privileges in that respect.
Yeah.
I would never really fight with somebody that was 10 years older than me because that's not.
Yeah, it's like relative
it's like
to
relative
who's
to
sort
who
of on
you're
your...
in a competition with.
Yeah. I would say it's like an epidemic.
Yeah.
Jealousy is
It's
an epidemic in South Asian communities. And we can speak for being Indian and it being in the Indian community. Yeah. I think other communities in South Asia will have to then speak up and say what their experience is, because obviously it's so diverse.
Yeah.
And it's so different cross-culturally. But I think in our experience, for sure, there has always been... I think the thing about jealousy is that, you're upset if someone else is doing well, or you want your own child or yourself to be doing great. But it's because success is measured by competition and comparison.
Yeah.
So you don't know whether you are successful unless you compare yourself to someone else's success. So let's say
But that's normal, no?
Yeah, it is, but I'm just saying,
because you won't know where you're supposed to be if you don't compare yourself to someone else.
Yeah.
So they're on X salary, but you're on a different salary.
But why do we need to be more than another?
See, this is a really odd question because it's in human nature to compete with others around you. It's like survival of the fittest, like in the animal kingdom, for example. That's just how it happens.
Yeah.
And, but then you can draw it back and go spiritual with it and say, your success is stemmed from happiness, or is it stemmed from material items, or is it stemmed from, how big your house is? Yeah. So then it can go back to that.
But I think success has become too materialistic.
Yeah.
It's like, why can't you be successful when you're kind of not in battle with your own mind?
For sure.
So when I was in battle with my own mind, when it all lifted, it was like a weight.
Yeah.
And that felt like success to me. And that was the thing with it. But what I was going to say is that, let's say you're an individual and you're literally by yourself in the middle of a mountain. You don't know what success means to you.
No.
Because there's no concept of it. It's a socially constructed concept, being successful.
Yeah.
And that then stems back to capitalism and colonization. I know I'll go on about it. It's my favourite topic in the whole world.
No, but it does go back to that.
It does, because if we've got South Asian communities and they migrated to the West and they're now in the UK and they're all trying to make it because the forces are against them. You've got people in communities really not wanting the brown people in there. You've got, us only being dragged in because we were allowed to post-colonization. We were allowed to fight in the wars. But then, that created our independence, blah, blah, blah. You've got all those different political dynamics happening. We come in, we now have this fight on us to say, we've got to make this.
Yeah.
And you're saying, I've got to make this. But what happens is now what I think has happened, you can disagree on this, is that we've now been in competition with our own community.
Well, it's a shame, really, because we're supposed to come as one and combat as one. And now we're all fighting.
Yeah.
And it's just like, in simple terms of what you all just said, that's basically what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
But I think it's a shame that it's natural. And because I feel like, but then you could see it in a positive way, that they drive you to do better.
Yeah.
And you're in competition with somebody that's on your level.
Yeah.
So I don't really know. Everything that you see can be spinned into a positive.
Yeah, it doesn't always have to be such a
negative thing. But I think the main kind of point that we want to get across is that jealousy is a natural feeling. So don't feel like it's like the worst thing ever that you're jealous of your best friend, because it happens to everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And it's how you control that.
Yeah,
then.
and if you use it to your advantage, if you are jealous of that person because they got a job, go and ask them how they got it and use their knowledge to better yourself. Don't just let it eat you up inside and be like, I'm a jealous person, I'm a horrible person, because that's not going to help you at all.
No, and I think once you acknowledge it nicely and naturally, I think that's when you can just face it. Yeah. And just say, okay, I feel like I'm lacking. Let me go and figure out how to do it, because you seething and you writing it down like, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that. It doesn't work, does it? You have to go out and go and get it.
Yeah, for sure. You have to, if you don't put 100% in everything you do, and it doesn't, and say you put 100% in everything you do and you don't get it, then it's not meant to be. That was not for you.
Yeah.
But at least you had a go. You can't just sit back and like expect everything to just come to you because it's your time. That's just not how it works at all.
No, it doesn't. It's like, let's say I looked at Molly May's YouTube.
Yeah.
And you were telling me about it like a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
And you said it was absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
I actually, you love watching what she has to say. You think she's really real. I can't then turn around and go, okay, whatever. I would be Molly May, but I don't have this, and this.
That's so negative.
Yeah, it's really, you're putting a nasty spin on someone else's hard work. I know the whole controversial topic of Molly May not being a hard worker or whatever.
Or what she said,
what she said. But you are then putting a negative spin on someone else's success because you're trying to pick out a reason why you may not be as successful.
But then when you tap in, so now you've tapped into this podcast and all of this, and you see how hard it is to do one.
Yeah, and create one.
Then someone like that does it every single day, 365 days a year.
I know.
And you're thinking, okay, so she's done it.
It is work.
Why was I hating on her in the first place?
Yeah, it's just really easy. Anyone can do it. If anyone can do it, why haven't you done it?
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And that's the thing. So I think it's acknowledging it, understanding it's natural, working out how to manage it. And then if it is something you really want for yourself, seeing how that person actually did it. And if they're willing to then give you that advice, see it as inspiration and then turn it into admiration rather than something you wish that you had. Because I think we all sometimes play a bit of a victim complex as to why we don't have things.
Yeah, it's always like, why not?
Yeah.
Why don't we have it? Because they've gone and done it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think obviously we have to put, social barriers in place. They definitely exist. Sure. We're not going to pretend that
you could
if you work hard, you'll just get it.
No, that's just not how it works.
There are social barriers, and that could be your class position, whether you've got social cultural capital,
to media, music,
networks,
anything like that.
Yeah. So
I think it's like, okay, we say like the career thing. That's something that if you were in a position to do so, you could go out and ask somebody and get advice. But what about if like a younger girl is just jealous because her best friend has so many more friends than her? Like she's jealous because she's popular. Like how would you navigate someone?
Be my advice?
Yeah, what would you navigate for somebody that's struggling because she's just not popular and her friends are? Because everybody goes through it. I went to a girls' school. I went through it.
Yeah.
She has so many guy friends. She has so many girlfriends. I don't have any friends.
Yeah. But then you have to look inwards and think, well, why do I feel like that's going to make me happy?
Yeah.
Because you might be then that person who is popular and also has all these friends around you. And they could be genuine. There will be people that do.
Yeah.
But on the other side, there'll be a lot of ingenuine friends around you. Because to have so many friends, you can't...
No, it's not a thing.
You can't
don't
have
come
so
out of
many
uni
friends.
with like 30 friends. That's just not how it works.
It's not real unless you have fake relationships with all of them.
Yeah.
And you post them all the time. And
Yeah.
then you say, like, I am on top of the world because the quantity of people that are interested in me is high. But you then have to look inward and think, okay, do I have quality friendships and do they feed my soul? Is this enough for me?
Yeah.
But I think when you're little, I'm not going to start telling a 7-year-old, do your friends
No, I'm
feed
talking
your
about
soul?
high school, sixth form. It's difficult.
Yeah. I think it's just actually looking inward and thinking, are there areas in your life that make you feel whole? And if they are, then why aren't you satisfied?
For sure.
Because it's like looking at someone on TV or looking at someone through like a kind of a rose-tinted glass. Their life looks
perfect.
Brilliant. Looks brilliant. But for us, it's like we look at 100% of our lives.
Yeah.
And we see the cracks in it.
They show 5% of their good life.
And that happens on social media.
Yeah.
So the next big topic really is how we navigate social media and jealousy within itself.
Honestly, social media is horrendous. It can be so good and it can be, people make a living off of it and that's how they make their living.
Yeah.
But for the generation that I was in, I had Instagram at the age of 11 and I've had Instagram now, I'm 21.
Yeah.
It is just a case of now there's more successful people to look at, you're going to get jealous of more people.
Yeah.
And it's really sad because TikTok has now come about and everybody has it. Everyone knows what it is.
Yeah.
At the least. And then like these gym girls and these like influencers posting like their what do they call it, their 5 to 9 before their 9 to 5.
Yeah, I get jealous of that.
And I'm just like, I do bare minimum and I work 9 to 5. Obviously I do a good job, but they do 4 hours before. But all they're doing is eating cereal, making an iced coffee, putting a metal straw in it and thinking that they've like had a successful morning.
Yeah.
But everybody has breakfast and has a coffee in the morning.
Yeah, but it's how you make it an aesthetic.
Yeah.
And then how it becomes addictive.
It's so addictive to watch.
Aesthetics and romanticization of your life is so addictive to watch, but it doesn't feel the way it looks.
Yeah, exactly.
And you'll never achieve that feeling, so you're chasing a feeling that only exists when you're looking at someone else doing it.
They've got perfect music in the background. Their bowl matches their plate, which matches their mug, which matches their nails. So it just looks like they're really, really put together.
Yeah.
And only recently influencers have, shown that, I have bad days too. And that's a good thing because, you see this glorified life and it's just like, it's really hard to watch every single day when, sometimes you wake up in a bad mood and you just make it to your first meeting at 9 and you've had a really bad sleep. So it's just watching those videos and repeat, they become draining.
Yeah. So how do you navigate that? So if it becomes draining, what advice could you give to try and reduce that feeling?
Don't watch it.
Just literally
Just don't watch it. Honestly, like out of sight, out of mind.
But then it's like, how do you watch it when it's an addiction? So let's say I was addicted to alcohol and I put a glass of wine next to me and I said, don't drink it, but have it sat there for, 3 hours while you're having dinner. How do you relieve yourself of that addiction to watching things that feel unattainable?
I think it's a way where that's their life and you've got to remember that's their job. They're posting those videos to make money and commissions and get subscribers and things like that. So you've got to remember that that's their whole job. Their job is to make a video before they work and make it look amazing. But your job is not to do that. Your job is to go to your office or work from home, wherever you do. You've got to remember that they're getting paid for this as well.
Yeah.
They're not just doing it because it's fun. They're doing it because they're getting paid.
Yeah.
And money is the biggest
driver
driven factor
everything.
ever.
Yeah.
So you've got to remember they're getting paid. Try not to watch it as much. Your algorithm will change if you stop watching things like that.
Yeah. It's like I was watching all the tarot things.
Yeah.
So I was getting like
coming
predictions
up
of things that are going to happen in my life. And it's a really
it's
dangerous
really bad.
rabbit hole to sort
I
of
have
fall
gym
down.
TikTok right now because I've started going to the gym.
Dangerous.
So they've seen that I'm subscribed to a gym and now all these gym TikToks are coming up.
Yeah.
And it just makes you think, oh, she has abs. When am I going to get them?
Yeah.
But then you look at her videos and she works out for 3 hours a day, 5 days a week. That's why
Yeah.
she has the body that she has.
Yeah.
But she's also being paid to have that body
Yeah.
because she has all these campaigns.
She's being paid to have it, and also I think a lot
She
of people
works so hard to get it too.
Yeah,
Don't
and
get me
that's
wrong.
great.
Yeah.
So that might be one particular influencer.
That's their life.
That's their life. So if you wanted to go and do that and make it your life,
it.
you could.
Yeah.
But then we get into a very unhealthy obsession with what we look like consistently.
Yeah.
And it just becomes, and it gets to a point where that is all that we care about, is just the way we look. And that then is conflated with our ego, and our ego gets shattered if someone else is then looking better than we do in a picture or a video or whatever that we post.
Yeah.
And then that feature of jealousy just keeps rearing its horrible head again and again and again. And it just gets a little bit draining for people. And what I fear is that there are a lot of young people who will be watching TikToks or on Instagram really early. Snapchat was a really big feature for your life. And I don't even use it anymore.
No.
Like, I completely deleted it. But it's all these things and all this repetition that is consistent. How do we now try and navigate all this features, all this content constantly hitting us in the face? How do we build a strong core for ourselves to be confident in who we are and navigate social media with an ego that's you need a bit of an ego to...
You have to tell yourself, like, you're good looking. You have to tell yourself you're going to be successful because what you think is kind of what you get. And like, it's another important thing is like not to watch it before bed. So you go to bed on TikTok is the last thing that you think, and then you drift off. Then you wake up in the morning, you've probably been dreaming about it all night, all these girls doing these things that you really want to do.
Yeah.
And you start the day off so negatively because you're imagining yourself in someone else's life and someone else's journey. That's not your journey. that's their journey. They found, and then we also aspire to be people that are like 25, 26. We're not that age we're not nowhere near that.
Yeah.
Don't watch it before bed. That's definitely one piece of advice I'd
Yeah.
give. And don't, it's not, it's just the
Try
journey
and look
thing.
at their life as 100%.
Yeah.
Don't look at it as the 5% and mirror it to when you're being successful and then you post online, what other people might be thinking of you with your life. And you have to then... That's why sometimes I have posted online and showed the cracks in my life, you know, with my blogs and stuff, because I'm not a 100% person. I've really had some horrible internal struggles before. And it's about showcasing that not everything is always rosy and pretty. Like, I've really kind of been through the mill with my own perceptions and self-esteem and ego and all these sorts of things. So even follow content creators as well that show you their whole. That sometimes really helps deflect from the ones that only show you the 5%.
Yeah, you can't just show something that gives positivity all the time.
Yeah.
Like, that's just really hard to watch, that their life is so positive all the time. You know, you have your bad days.
Yeah, so it's possible to sort of balance it out with the right sort of content creators, and you are in control of that. I think people fall victim to a lot of things when in reality they have control over that algorithm.
Yeah.
They have control over what they choose to watch.
But then going back to the jealousy thing, it's like you have to kind of rein in when you're jealous of somebody that you don't even know.
Yeah.
Like, they've got 5 million followers. They're paid to have this life and you're jealous of that. And you've got to think that that's just so...
ridiculous.
So ridiculous.
Yeah.
That you don't even know them.
Yeah.
You don't know their last name. You don't know if they have siblings. You know nothing about them.
Yeah, all you know is that they look good in that picture on holiday.
And you don't know the other 95% of their life.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing.
Yeah.
But then people love misery. So a TikToker would post a bad thing that happened in their day and they'll get so many views. They'll post a good thing and they won't get as many views. So it's not also good to look down on your influences that you like, because that's negative too.
That's a really interesting comment.
Yeah, don't prey upon their downfall. Like, be happy for them and they're successful.
But that's what happens in a lot of, with Indian communities, South Asian communities. We're all
there for you when something's going wrong because we want to hear what's happened.
Yeah, it's when you're gossiping about somebody else's life.
It's exhilarating.
It's exhilarating.
It's so
and I've
bad
fallen
the
into that
feeling,
habit. I have really sometimes loved to gossip. This was a few years ago. I've definitely moved on from this feeling. But the negativity that exists inside of you, it blossoms and it's addictive.
Yeah, because someone else is
Gossiping
going through
is
worse.
addictive. Yeah, and that's the problem. So if you take it back to people that you do know, you love to know everything that's going on. So when I released the blog and told people that I had issues with my body, I knew for a fact that people would be loving that.
Yeah, for sure. People love misery.
And they'd love the misery. But in reality, I thought, well, there might be the 10% of people that will benefit from you actually putting yourself out there and they feel happy that someone else might be feeling the same sort of way.
But that's the way you should think about it. You shouldn't be like, oh, she thought she was fat. Like, that's so good for me. I think I'm really skinny. I go to the gym every day.
Yeah.
That's really sad.
Yeah, it's really sad.
But then I look down on people like that because I'm like, grow up. Actually grow up, because that's just really embarrassing.
Yeah, it's really
that
embarrassing.
you're praying for somebody to feel like that and go through something like that.
Yeah, so you have to disassociate with those people.
You should level with those people, not look down on them.
Yeah, and you have to acknowledge when you are feeling that type of way towards somebody else.
Yeah.
And then think, is this the type of person I want to be?
Yeah.
Especially as you're growing up, is this the type of person I want to be in the future? So like with Aviraj, our younger brother, when he's growing up now, we want to make sure he's falling into the right categories and thought patterns. So he doesn't...
it's with you for life.
Yeah, it's with you forever. It's sort of nature versus nurture.
Yeah.
But you've got to really hone it in and control your mind. So it's like, if you don't control what's happening here, what comes out is going to look one way or another.
Yeah, for sure.
So I think another huge area that I think is more of the spiritual realm is the concept of nazar.
Okay.
So nazar, for those of you who don't know, is when you have been given sort of the evil eye. So when you are doing well, people wish unwell wishes on you, if that makes sense.
Yeah, they pray for your downfall.
They're
hoping that
something...
things that you're striving to get, you don't get.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the problem. And when you are jealous of a human being, that can sometimes be a byproduct of what you then put onto someone else. And that can be really dangerous. Now, I believe in the evil eye, and I believe in nazar.
Yeah.
But we've had a chat, and you actually are on the fence with it. So what is your opinion?
I don't actively believe in it, so I block it out, because if I do, I think I would spiral.
Okay.
And I think I'd overthink who I was friends with.
Yeah.
And think about every action they did and what they did and how they speak to me and how often they speak to me, just because I'm scared that they will do that to me. But if I don't think about it, it's kind of like not in my realm to think about, if that makes any sense. Like, I choose to not think about it because I'm scared of it, because I see it happening with other people.
Yeah.
And I'm like, if I let it in, it's going to happen. If I just never let it in, maybe it just won't happen to me.
Maybe I should do that, because I believe in it, and I believe it has affected me in the past for sure. And it might not be someone actively going, you know, I want them to be unsuccessful. It's just when you're seething towards somebody's kind of future ambitions, you know, and what they want to achieve, and you're getting irritated by them achieving that, you don't realize that your negativity and your kind of emotion gets directed towards that person.
Yeah.
Now, some people might be thinking she's going on.
But I
actually
think
sounds ridiculous.
with you or with other people, like I know other people that believe in it, they'll work hard for something and they won't get it, and they'll say, oh, it's nazar, it's the evil eye. No, you just didn't work that hard. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can also use it to your advantage, you know, and be like, you know what, it wasn't nazar, it was just me, and I need to work a lot harder next time.
Yeah.
Because if you have a scapegoat,
but
I think the evil eye can be a bit of a scapegoat, because you think the whole world is against you. It can be a bit of a victim thing.
Yeah, you can have a bit of a victim complex if you think you've been affected by nazar and, you know, you've got the evil eye on you.
Yeah, but then it isn't to say that if you put positive affirmations out there, you get positive back. So it's like the reverse of the evil eye. If you believe in that, then why can't you believe in the negative side? So I do see why people do believe in it.
Yeah, and I've tried to control when and where I've thought it might exist. And you can never be fully certain. And I get really scared about protecting myself from it. And also, have I ever cast it onto somebody else? So I can go on and on and on and be narcissistic and think everybody's giving me the evil eye with certain things. But when have I actually been that kind of person and put it onto somebody else? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and I sometimes have to think, are my emotions now affecting somebody else's life path right now because of the way I'm acting? And it might be really implicit and unconscious and subconscious, but you might be reflecting that outwardly.
And then their life isn't going to plan.
Yeah. And then what happens is that you might be doing it, and then that's going to give you negative karma.
But then
blah,
that's
blah,
quite
blah.
narcissistic to think that you'd have control over someone's life like that. Like, I really don't think that you do.
You're kind of going into this
I've bitched about this girl and she didn't get her job. Like, that's not your fault.
Yeah. No, but you might not have a direct correlation, and you might not know what you've done to affect somebody, but to even be having those sorts of feelings and subconsciously putting it out there is really evil.
Yeah, it is.
It's really, really evil, and you've got to control that inside of you. I think ways I've done it is essentially acknowledged it that it's happening, and I've acknowledged, like, why do I care about, you know, what someone else looks like, or someone else's success, or someone else's relationship status? Why do I care? Because I haven't gone and done that for myself. I then need to work on those certain areas and make that better for me.
Yeah.
And it's almost sort of looking at what your life's purpose is. So if your life's purpose is to do a podcast and to have these open conversations and be honest about the way you feel inside, then that's great for you, and that feeds my soul in that sort of way. So you've got to work out what makes you happy and what feeds your soul in the way it should, because someone else's life is not going to feed your soul in the right way.
But if you let it, it might.
What do you mean?
So if you let them in, and you let those negative comments that you've been hearing about, and you let them in, it can take down your whole character, but it's not, again, like you said, it's not direct. But it's like people are saying these bad things about me, which means I am like that, and then you don't succeed in life.
Yeah.
It's kind of about blocking the negativity out. So if you do feel that, you know, if you do believe in the evil eye, and you do think people are putting that negativity on you, then you cut them off.
Yeah. You say, see ya.
You see, bye, like, I'm not going to be friends with you anymore.
This.
I'll be really fake with you if I see you in a social setting. Hi, how are you? How's life? But I'm not going to let you in.
Yeah, I'm going to have that wall up.
That barrier's there.
Yeah.
Put it back
and
up.
you just don't tell them
Yeah.
much. I've learned not to be a blabbermouth. I have a really bad habit of
gotta
telling
keep
people
it
my
in.
life. And I have a really good friend, and she taught me zip it,
Zip it.
stop it.
Literally just stop.
Because I'll talk,
listen,
talk.
listen, and say, yeah, that's so, yeah.
Yeah.
Don't give an opinion, just say yeah, and nod
Yeah,
your
yeah,
head.
that's great.
That's great.
Yeah, exactly. And
She looks ugly. Oh,
cool.
cool. What do you
What
say?
do you say?
Like,
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
just like, just shut your mouth.
Yeah, exactly. And you know inside, you let them chat and then you just don't say anything
Yeah.
back. Because I've definitely been in situations where
Yeah.
I've said something maybe I shouldn't have said. And I'm thinking, why did I even say that? That was stupid.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think these are the definitely areas that we need to think about for ourselves, think about how we need to consider them.
But
and
it's also going back to the whole topic of the conversation was jealousy. If you overshare, then people have something to be jealous of. If you don't tell anybody,
what can they be
then
jealous
what
of?
can they be jealous of?
Yes.
So I feel like then you don't just shut up.
Yeah, just shut up.
Just shut up.
But then how do you then do well on social media if you're not telling people what you're doing?
But you don't have to tell them how successful your podcast is. You don't have to tell them how much money you're making from it.
Yeah, you just stay quiet.
You just say that I'm doing it.
Yeah, and then I think that's a way to control it.
Yeah, it's just being humble.
I think so overall.
And if it's doing shit, then you still don't tell anybody.
Yeah, exactly. You don't need to tell anyone
Don't tell anybody anything.
So I think we've had a really decent discussion here. I think what we've really done is really gone into separate areas.
Yeah.
We've talked about our experience as being Indian. We've talked about our experience as young people on social media. We've talked about it in a spiritual realm.
Yeah.
We've talked about it generally with partners, all sorts. And I think what it's done is given me clarity about how to acknowledge it in myself more than like thinking everybody else is it of me.
Yeah.
And think, how do I want to operate? What is my life's purpose? And am I fulfilling that? And once I do that, I'll be a better person.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that you've been on today because I think you've given me a certain area and direction that I wouldn't have actually thought of.
You have to have different personalities, combat your opinions, because if you have somebody that's the same personality as you, your opinions are going to align. But we have completely different personalities, so our opinions are going to differ.
Yeah, exactly. So I really appreciate you being on here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing your thoughts and changing my mind in certain areas.